everyone to the MyMac.com podcast. This is number 803. Now there was no video last week because stuff was broken, and for once, Gaz, not by me or because of me or because I was doing something wrong, and this proves the old adage that there is a first time for everything. One benefit of using Apple products is that they typically last a very, very long time.
They do.
Yep. Can you use older Mac and Apple gear and still do the latest stuff? That's what we're going to talk about in the center section. But we have something really exciting.
Exciting. Even more exciting than that.
I know. We have it. And it just happened to work out perfectly. It's a little after 3 o'clock right now, Eastern Standard Time. So I guess it's a little after 8 o'clock your time.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, you got it. Good man.
And we are about a little less than 4.5 minutes away from SpaceX.
Me eating. Oh, I thought it was going to say me eating chocolate or something.
Oh well, no. Well, that I find that exciting. I'm a huge chocolate fan.
Yeah.
But the Crew Dragon with people inside of it in 4 minutes is going to take off. And I have YouTube plugged into the normal stuff that we do, and when we get down to about 30 seconds, I'm going to unmute it doesn't matter what part we are in the podcast. I'm going to unmute it, and hopefully there's no delays. We're gonna experience the SpaceX Crew Dragon first. What is it? It's the first manned mission from the U.S. since 2011, when the space shuttle was retired. So this is like super exciting. I'm pumped. I was so upset.
I hope it's coming just as I go.
Well, I was so upset last week when they stopped it because of weather issues.
Yeah, well, we were looking forward to actually seeing it come over the UK, and I don't know whether it's on the same trajectory, flight path.
The flight trajectory thing.
If it is,
path.
If I look out the window, I've actually got completely clear blue skies, so we should be able to see it coming over if it's doing the same flight path.
Yeah, does it work that way?
I don't know.
I don't think it does.
What do you mean you don't think it does?
I don't think it does. Well, tell you what, let's
think on the same flight path. You don't think on the same flight path? Is that what you're saying?
No, I don't know if it's going to be on the same flight path or not. I'm just wondering whether you'll be able to see it with the naked eye.
Yeah. Well, we've got binoculars, We're not completely, yes, we have binoculars. I've got a spotting scope, I've got a spotting scope. We know we can see the stars and everything, Guy.
What?
It's incredible.
No. This is the flat Earth and blah 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 blah. Yeah. Those guys are such idiots. I'm sorry. I'll say it right here. You're an idiot if you think the Earth is flat. Okay, that's how that works. Guy Searle thinks you're an idiot if you think the Earth is flat. And I pointed for emphasis.
You did.
Okay, real quick, because I don't know if we'll get through the our stuff before this thing takes off. I'm really, really sorry about there not being any video last week. Skype updated, and that broke Ecamm's call recorder.
Anybody listening to this doesn't care.
Probably not. But that also means that no video was recorded. This week, though, this week's show is going to be twice as goodliester. That's totally a word, Gaz.
It is. I completely understood what you were sassing.
Yeah, exactly. And we had some power glitches last night, and I came downstairs. Power glitches. And I thought we were
just making up a new language.
No, that's a real word, glitch. That's a word. But I came downstairs and I was checking out all my gear that I've got down here, and I had one microphone. It was a gift from my son Guy, a Rode M2.
Is this the Facebook story that you?
Yes.
Yeah, right. Okay.
So I was trying like all different things, plugging it in and out, and I couldn't get it to work, and I was going crazy. And then I happened to look at the microphone, and I noticed it had an on-off switch, and it was off. I didn't notice. Actually, we're at 30 seconds. So I am going to unmute.
Doing a countdown. Yeah, unmute it because they're doing a countdown. Oh, I can hear it. I can hear it.
Coming up on 20 seconds.
The odd thing is, folks, I'm actually about 3 seconds ahead of Guy. So if I suddenly say to Guy, stop it now,
yeah,
you'll know why.
Something bad has happened.
10, 9.
Here we go.
8, 7, 6, 5.
Oh, so exciting.
4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Ignition.
Come on.
Liftoff of the Falcon 9 and Crew Dragon. Go NASA. Go SpaceX. Godspeed, Bob and Doug.
America has launched. And so rises a new era of American spaceflight, and with it the ambitions of a new generation continuing the dream.
Well, I wonder what its 0 to 60 speed is.
That's the thing. That's what amazes me about these things. When you look at the speed, it from the cameras, in the distance, it looks like it's just going up.
It's like, I'm just kind of.
When you're in the speed, it's going, hundreds of miles an hour.
Yeah.
Falcon power telemetry nominal.
God, look at that thing go.
M1D throttle down.
We're throttling down to get ready for the period of maximum dynamic pressure.
I always have that problem with this show. Actually, maximum dynamic pressure.
Yeah. I understand. I understand completely.
And it normally happens just as I'm hitting the gases snippets.
Vehicle is supersonic.
Well, that's when you throttle it down to about 80%, and then you boost it back up to 104. That's how that works.
Throttle up.
So, am I seeing that? Yeah, they're doing 1,400 miles an hour.
Yeah. The full power as we're through max Q.
And they're already almost 15 miles up.
1,800 miles an hour. It's just incredible.
We heard that one Bravo call out. That's just the second abort zone that they're in. They'll continue to be on this.
And this is a true story. When the shuttle used to go up,
at this point,
there was an emergency landing spot in Gambia, on the west coast of Africa. And I always wondered what the people in Gambia would think if they saw the space shuttle coming down for an emergency landing. I always wondered about that. These are the things I wonder about.
Yeah.
Next major
looking
event.
good. Making
Coming
nice.
up,
That's pretty.
It's going to be the triple. We'll have main engine cutoff of the 9 first stage engines. Stage
cool.
separation.
Well, anyway, guys, I think we ought to.
We're gonna. They're already at almost 50 miles up.
Into orbit.
Yeah,
so if something,
we should leave them as they just surpassed 5,000 miles an hour. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, cool. I am going to. I'm going to mute that.
We've got no idea if there's any Apple-related news in that at all.
No, it doesn't matter. It was just so cool.
It was cool. Yeah.
Okay, so I talked about all the stuff that I did, if anybody even remembers. What about you? How was your week, Gaz?
Guy, so much has happened this week.
Tell me.
I just don't know where to start. I mean, we've been in lockdown, haven't we? And it's just so difficult. But this week, just so much. Well, here goes. Right, I was invited to join Carl and his gang over in the Mac and Forth show. That's it.
That's it.
I mean, that's a lot of difference from the week before and the week before that. So
well, that's not even like a microphone turned off. So actually, that's like a plus.
Actually, you're right. You're right.
That means you're not an idiot like I was an idiot.
You did more trying to find your on-off button than I did a complete show with
said the
Carl.
actress to the bishop.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I'll tell you what else has happened though.
Tell me.
We've got a MyMac recent article.
You know what? That's almost as rare as a space shot going on at the same time that we're recording a podcast.
Moment.
Twice. That's two odd, unbelievable things all happening at the same time. We have an article at mymac.com.
Yep.
And there's a manned space launch from the US.
That occurrence is it's like as rare as hen's teeth. That's what that was rare.
I always wondered about that.
Hen's teeth?
Yeah.
You don't find many of those to a packet of crisps, I'll tell you.
Well, I mean, do hens have like dentists just in case they have teeth?
Well, no, they have to go to a special dentist.
A hentist.
Very good.
Oh, okay.
That's almost like a dad joke, that is.
Almost. That close. That very, very close. I'll go ahead and do the article. It's the
please.
Stealth 360 Fluidity Spear and Games. This is a review by Cian Park Arker. Yeah, okay, that works.
That works.
Stealth is a mechanical device that assists users in performing a range of plank maneuvers to increase core strength while benefiting other muscle groups. Although not a connected device in itself, Stealth has a mounting well for a smartphone. Using games apps from Stealth, the smartphone accelerometers, wow, I'm getting all these words right, are employed to orchestrate user movement. And the experience is turned from being a chore into a play session. That way, fitness is achieved by Stealth. As the Stealth tagline says, game your cure. Go on over and don't listen, but read that review by Mr. Ian Scott Parker.
Very good. Yeah, game your core.
200 miles. It's up 200 miles now.
Yeah. 12,000 miles an hour. Okay, so we're going to quickly go almost as fast as SpaceX into Gaz's snippets. See, I'm rocking and rolling.
I know. We're just rolling. Rolling right along.
Rolling. I'm just trying to see what that other indicator is. What does it say? Altitude, right. 201 miles, is that?
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
And it's got almost as much attitude.
Yeah, very much attitude.
Yeah.
Okay, Apple hang on a minute. I haven't got me a Vidubri open. I haven't got me backup open. I've got to have me backup open so I can actually read these if I need to. Here we go. That's better. I wasn't ready for that, you see. I wasn't ready. Just in case you ask any questions on the stories that I give. Right, Apple promotes Apple TV Plus for kids in a new app. Well, a new ad, I should say.
It's a new app ad.
I can't read my own writing. Apple reissuing numerous iOS app updates potentially related to the recent "this app is no longer shared" bug. Now, we actually spoke about this in over with Carl, and
really,
what I was surprised about was the fact that this is related to each app having to then update itself. But obviously, it was pointed out to me by some of the clever people over there, not Carl. Hi, Carl.
The other clever people.
The other, saying well, it's probably obviously related to the libraries in relationship to the version. And obviously those version libraries were then changed in the latest update, which then needed to be updated again. Or the apps needed to be updated to the most recent libraries. And that's where all the confusion came in. So, that's why you've probably been having a barrage, folks.
Yeah.
Of updates on your iOS.
I noticed that. I guess was it yesterday or maybe Thursday?
Well, earlier in the week. Yeah.
It was like I opened up my phone and it was like, let me see if there's any up. Oh my God, there's so many updates.
Yeah.
And it was like, God, I didn't because usually you only get those kinds of like barrages of updates.
Yeah,
when there's an update to iOS or something.
Yeah. Okay, so Apple are now to start reopening the stores in Japan this week. Yay. Let's get back to some sort of normality. Apple are assisting authorized repair shops with COVID-related expenses. Well done, Apple. Good on you. Germany, Switzerland, Latvia, and Estonia are said to have adopted the Apple Google API. Good for them countries. Yeah. We had quite a bit of a conversation about that on the Mac and Full show. And,
was anybody like all angsty about NHS? You were, sir. Okay.
I'll say no more. Apple patent for iPad Magic Keyboard shows a slot in the hinge for the Apple Pencil. Can I just make out a point to the people that put this out? The Apple keyboard, Magic Keyboard, is out. There's no slot in the hinge for the Apple Pencil. Hello, just saying. Pointing that out.
They're saying that the next one.
Yeah, right. Okay, right.
Yeah.
The next one after the next one, which hasn't got it after the next one. Okay. There is limited iPad availability in Q1. or the limited iPad availability in Q1 saw Huawei overtake Apple on tablets in China, apparently. The Gates Foundation apparently bought 500,000 Apple shares in Q1. I should think if anybody got a lot of money, that was probably a safe bet, if I'm honest.
Yeah.
Apple confirms no longer shared app bug has now been fixed. That's
did they have a an iOS update for that? I don't remember there being one.
Well, I think there was one. Wasn't there one earlier in the week? I think there has been one recently, and that's been fixed. But
right,
I think
good.
I'm not sure whether it's a combination of that or the app's being updated, which has fixed it. So I could read into it if you want me to.
No, that's okay.
But this is snippets. If people are really that interested, go read yourself. I'm doing that jokingly, folks.
Yeah.
I'm not. Apple's iPhone 11 was the most popular smartphone in Q1 2020. Big news. Apple releases macOS Catalina 10.15.5. That's a lot of numbers, isn't it? 15.
It is. It just rolls right off the tongue.
With the battery health management features and a fix for Finder freezing. Has your Finder been freezing?
My Finder freezes frantically.
Does it?
Yes.
How many more Fs can we get in that sentence?
Probably so many that I would have to delete. I'd have to edit.
So the feature of the fix for the Finder freezing, which frantically happened on your iMac, is going to please you.
Yes.
Switzerland was the first to release a COVID-19 app using Apple and Google Exposure Notification API.
Right. So if you need to know how close you've been to anyone in Switzerland that's had COVID-19, you'll have to go and get that app.
You're fine. Yeah. Apple updates schoolwork app to help teachers manage classrooms from afar.
From how far?
Afar.
It's like way over there.
Well, that's the point, Guy. Because it's variable.
That's the point.
They say a far because you don't know which far. So
well, I thought it was like the far that wasn't quite as popular, so it was the B far. Never mind.
I've just switched over to the video, right? And there was a side-on shot. They're just under 27,000 miles an hour, folks, just for your info. But they did a side shot of the astronaut.
Getting great gas mileage, by the way.
I gotta say, they do look like just rubber wellies that they're wearing. If anybody gets to see that, they do just look like rubber wellies. Anyway, Apple can solve our Face ID mask woes by stealing one of Android's best features. I thought this was interesting that somebody thought they'd need to mention this. Now, let me see if I can just find that because I've moved on a bit. Here we go. So this came from, guess where? Macworld.
Really?
And it said, if you own an iPhone 10 or later and have gone out into the world recently, you probably noticed an unfortunate side effect of the new mask-wearing culture. Face ID doesn't work. I thought it did, but I'm not going to say any more. It is more of a feature than a bug. But the fact of the matter is that Apple's True Depth camera system can't scan your whole face. It won't, unless it can, it won't unlock your phone. If you're wearing a mask like most stores and restaurants require, you're left typing in your passcode whenever you want to check your shopping list or pay your bill.
Like a caveman.
Like a caveman, yeah. Apple offered up a workaround with the recent iOS 13.5 update, but it's hardly a fix. Now, instead of waiting for Face ID to fail a couple of times before the passcode screen pops up, you can swipe up from the bottom of your screen to quickly enter your code. That makes things a little less infuriating, but it's still not ideal. So they've obviously gone away and said, right, let's make it even more unsecure. No, unsecure, like those guys over at Android, and help people be able to unlock their phone. So that in the future, anybody that's got eyes which are brown, like mine, can then steal my phone and unlock it. No, I don't think we'd like to do that.
If only there was some other method.
I just disappoint. Yeah, just disappointed in that reporting. I really was. Okay, now where am I? I've lost my space. Here we go. Custom configured Macs are now available in India. Did you know that, Guy?
I did not.
Well, you do now, my
Excellent.
friend. You know. Yeah, you're so pleased. I told you that, aren't you?
I am.
Yeah, good. I keep losing my space.
YouTube kids.
That's why I keep losing my place, because I'm looking at the space. I've got to move it. Here we go. Right, YouTube. Thank you. I now realise why you said that. YouTube Kids now available on Apple TV. Rah rah rah.
I have no idea what that means.
YouTube Kids.
Is that like a show of some kind?
Well, no. YouTube Kids was a channel, wasn't it? It's a channel for people.
Okay. See, when you say Apple TV, I'm thinking YouTube. Apple TV Plus. The service, not the actual device. Okay.
On Apple TV. TV.
All right. Sorry.
Apple Box. Okay. Apple price targets raise on reopening retail stores and online growth. So obviously, the likes of Whitebush have gone out and increased their price. Which means their share prices go up.
I wonder if any other analyst may have said something about that.
I'm sure they did. I'm just trying to light up my face a little bit for the video. I'm not used to doing this normally. Okay, so yeah, what other than Whitebush?
Yeah, like Gene. What's his last name?
Monta.
No, it's
Minta.
No.
Linta. Frinta.
No. Okay. Well, that was a long way to go for that joke.
It was. It wasn't a very good joke.
No, it really
Apple
wasn't.
acquires machine learning startup Inductive Inc. to improve Siri data. Good. That's good. Apple in final talks to produce Martin Scorsese's Killers of the Flower Moon.
Sure.
Sure. Laughing UK Health Secretary launches COVID-19 test and trace program, and with a glitchy website and no phone app.
Well, that's why he was laughing.
Saying nothing.
Just look at him in disgust.
JP Morgan hikes APPL, or the Apple price target, to 365 on the India iPhone SE and iPhone 12 launch. Huh? What iPhone 12 launch?
Well, it's the one that's already out in India and nowhere else in the world.
What, iPhone 12?
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Apple making it harder to avoid nagging macOS update notifications.
They graft like an actual arm with like a finger, and it's like update until you finally do.
What it says is, this came from Mac Rumors, actually. It says, with the release of macOS Catalina 10.15.5 and related security updates for macOS Mojave and High Sierra this week, let me just repeat that, folks.
Sure.
And the related security updates for macOS Mojave and High Sierra. They're going back 2 versions and still giving you security updates. Go Apple. Apple is making it more difficult for users to ignore available software updates and remain on their current operating system versions. I think this is good. People need occasionally a bit of a
slap in the face.
Well, a shake around the shoulders. Get it updated. Apple releases Safari Technology Preview 107 with bug fixes and performance improvements.
It just seems like yesterday that 106 was released. Where does the time go?
It's just so quick, isn't it? Just goes past. Apple Pro Display XDR gets Displays of the Year award.
So they got 2 awards.
Well, that's why I didn't get this one. It says Displays of the Year award. What? So do they get an award because they created more than one display, or have they got more than one type of display and have got an award for each of them? I don't get it. Surely it should just be Display of the Year award.
Yeah.
Let's move. Apple picks up Heidi Lamar TV show starring Gal Gadot. Court dismisses a lawsuit.
She would kick both of our asses.
Probably. That's why. That's why I'm glad she doesn't listen.
Yeah.
We say
that we assume that. Yeah. It could be right now. She's like, I will kick both your asses, or however. I'm assuming she's French. Actually, I don't even know.
We don't even know she can kick ass. Anyway,
Sure.
it could be
She's
a
Wonder
guy.
Woman.
Could be a guy for all we know.
Totally kicks ass.
Court dismisses lawsuit alleging Apple and others suppress political content.
Sure.
That's me sighing, folks.
What court did that have to go through? Was that a U.S. court? Was that some court in Upper Estonia, or
It's First Amendment rights, so it's in America.
Oh,
a right-wing affiliated non-profit saw its legal play against 4 tech giants fail on Wednesday.
Stunning.
So the court have dismissed the lawsuit.
Thank God.
Yeah. Okay. Apple have asked LG. Sorry.
Just go on. Sorry.
You're spitting, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm just. You know me and lawsuits and analysts, and I don't really enjoy.
You don't play well with them, do you?
I don't. I'm kind of like, oh, so you're a lawyer that does lots of patent work. You suck. Just, let's start our conversation right there. You suck. Not quite as bad as Ticketmaster, but it's damn close. It is so close. You and Ticketmaster, you're like hand in hand. Yeah, go ahead.
Will you let me finish? Apple asked LG Display for urgent supply of LCD panels to meet the iPad demand in Asia. Well, that's good. And I missed a story there. Apple's stranglehold on wearables market continued in Q1 this year. And that's good.
Yeah.
Apple begins selling refurbished iPhone 10Rs or XRs, however you want to say
Weren't they already selling those?
Well, apparently not. This will be American based, so this will be over in the US. Now, it may be that I did an article last week, but I saw quite a few going through about that. So I would say no. But I thought they were already out.
Yeah, so did I.
Anyway, they're refurbished. You can buy them. Apple TV Plus captures significant share of the streaming market. I don't know how. Defending JPEG.
Better that than the steaming market.
Yeah, captures a share of the steaming market. Yeah. How do you like your vegetables steamed? Defending Jacob looks like the most popular Apple TV Plus series.
I haven't watched it.
I haven't seen it. I haven't seen it. So we can't really comment whether it's any good or not.
Oh, we could. Never stopped us before.
Apple Music Zane Lowe brings interviews with iconic arsehole.
It could be both. It could totally be both.
That was a Freudian slip, wasn't it?
One is not exclusive of the other. Okay, let's just make sure we got that out there. Would you like to start that one again, Gaz?
You want me to start again? Yeah.
You should probably start that one again.
We'll edit that in post.
Sure, we will.
Apple Music Zane Lowe brings interviews with iconic artists to new podcasts. I don't know what happened there.
That is so funny. I love it.
Apple TV Plus original comedy series Ted Lasso. You say lasso, I say lasso. Or it's the other way around. Thank you very much. To debut in August. And finally, Apple loses an appeal in Italy over a €10 million fine for iPhone performance throttling.
Right, because anything involving an iPhone 6 is still so relevant today.
Well, there you go. Anyway, They've lost it. And that, folks, is Gaz's Snippets.
I'm sorry. That was that. I think Zane Lowe is going to contact you. He's not gonna be happy with you at all. Ooh, Zane Lowe.
Well,
wrong one.
Who's scruffy looking?
Zane Lowe is scruffy looking.
I don't think he has. He's ass.
Well, the thing is most important about that show is
I don't know. I'm making this up as I go.
Yeah. So
Yeah. Or if he conquers me, all I'm going to say is boom.
Boom. Boom. That's it. Okay. Shall I get us out of here?
Please, sir, take us away from this madness that we call a podcast.
This was like a really, really weird segment. And that's saying something.
Saying something for this show.
That's like way out there. Okay.
Yeah.
Everyone stand by for SpaceX to stand by for SpaceX. And Guy and Gaz and SpaceX. Well, probably not SpaceX. But we'll all of us, all together, be right back.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to this week's mighty MyMac Podcast. And we are at point 2 of the show. Absolutely superb. We've got here without any faux pas whatsoever.
No, not a single one.
Not a single one affected anything at all in the first part of this show. Believe that, if you will. Because I always believe what I say.
Yeah.
No one else does, but I do.
It was good.
Anyway. Guy, what have you got for the middle? In fact, you look like you got quite a lot for the middle section this week, actually.
This
I'm looking forward to this.
And I didn't get the idea to do this until this morning when I was checking on Skype to see if we'd had any messages.
Mm-hmm.
And we did. We had a message from, I'm going to play it in just a second, but this message was what inspired me to talk about what we're going to talk about here in the center section. So let me go ahead and just play this for you.
Hello?
Hi.
Hello?
Hey, it's Marcus from Minnesota. I didn't want Greg from Carolina to be the only one that knew the phone number still.
Yeah.
I seem to have phone faded, but I'm fading back in. And
thank you, Marcus.
Call back again next year.
You should.
Anyway, my Mac is still a 2010 Mac Pro 5.1 running Mojave, or as you might call it, Mojave or Mojave. It's really reliable. It's great. I don't need Catalina on it. And I'm watching my 3D printer printing through a screen using Aquaprint while I am working from home. Yeah, and I guess that's all I have to say. So everybody else that's listening, I hope you have fun with your Mac. But to you, it'd be my Mac. Okay, I'm going to press the red button now. Goodbye.
From Marcus.
I like your Mac being my Mac at some point.
Yeah. And
I really like that.
I actually had
it's very
one
clever.
of these.
Marcus, you're a clever old sausage.
He's got a either a 2010 or a 2012 Mac Pro. I had a 4-core, I think it was a 2.8 gigahertz 4-core 2010 model, which was a Mac Pro 5.1. And the only reason why I kind of got off of that machine, number one, if you remember back when we were recording the show, just how loud that computer could get when it started to get hot. So very loud.
Feeling hot.
Yeah. But on the plus side, that was probably, of all the Mac computers that I have owned over the years, that was probably the most versatile and most capable of any Mac I've ever owned. It was an amazing machine, and it's still going now. My son Peter is using it.
That's cool.
So he's got a Mac Pro 5.1. It's running on Mac OS 10.14. The computer itself is either from 2010 or 2012, and other than not using Catalina, is quite productive, and as he was saying, including 3D printing. Now, a Mac running Mojave or earlier in some ways has a wider variety of software available, Gaz, due to Catalina's strict 64-bit applications only limitation.
Very true. Very, very true.
Yeah, and I kind of struggle calling it a limitation.
Although, can I just jump in? I don't know whether you're going to mention this very, very later on. Although it does have a limitation because it can only play with 64-bit applications. Those 32-bit applications which you might use, the only problem with them eventually is that they're likely not to have been securely updated.
No, they won't be.
Yeah.
Now, the benefits of a 64-bit operating system over a 32-bit operating system, strictly speaking, is that 64-bit operating system can take advantage of a 64-bit processor in ways that a 32-bit one cannot. Processes should run faster, though not twice as fast, even though the maths would say differently. Essentially, a 64-bit OS can run usually both 32 and 64-bit applications if the program or if the OS is programmed to do so, while a 32-bit operating system cannot run 64-bit processes or take full advantage of 64-bit hardware. Okay, so you got all that, Gaz?
Just about.
Okay.
Just run that past me again? No, sorry.
So, but if you want to run a Mac that's running just 32-bit software, you'll have to go all the way back to Leopard as Snow Leopard, which came out in 2009, and above were 64-bit operating systems running strictly on 64-bit hardware. That's why if you remember when we made the jump from like Leopard to, what was the next one after that? Lion? Was it Lion was the next one? 10.7?
From Snow Leopard to Lion, yeah.
Yeah. Starting with Lion, we started to see a lot of applications drop out because they just weren't able to run within. Actually, I think that was when they dropped all the 16-bit applications, was with Lion. But it was so long ago, like it's hard to remember. But almost all the Macs available since 2009 have all been on 64-bit hardware. But most apps from that time period were still 32-bit but 64-bit friendly. And Apple finally took the decision out of developers' hands with macOS 10.15 Catalina, which will only run 64-bit applications, which means all of those 32-bit applications that you've been hanging on to, they ain't going to work. Now,
no.
Does that mean you can't really be productive with older hardware and older operating systems, especially if you can't afford newer versions of some popular applications, or if they never were and likely never will be updated? And I think Marcus and my son Peter and so many other people that are still running Macintosh hardware dated, 2010 and up, still doing productive work and still doing amazing things. That's just not true.
No, absolutely. The only thing you've got to be cautious of and be aware of, and as long as you're aware of it, is the lack of possible updates that you might be getting. And I don't think that's a problem as long as you're conscious of it and that, you can take precautions accordingly. But no, older software, just because it's older software doesn't mean it's less productive than any modern software. In fact, in some cases it can be more productive because there's less options, meaning that you actually finite your workflow and you get through things a lot quicker and you can find things a lot quicker and a lot easier. Some modern software has far too many options. Although,
I heard people talk about when they talk about things like Final Cut and Photoshop and some of these, industry standard applications, that when people say, well, do you do process XYZ? And if you do process XYZ, well, then you need application, T or R or what have you, because that's considered to be the industry standard. It's like Photoshop with graphic editing. If you do any kind of graphic editing, you're expected as a professional to have Photoshop. And you're expected as a professional to probably be running whatever the latest version is. So, CC, the cloud version of all the Adobe apps. But there's a lot of people who can't afford a subscription. Yeah, there we go. I almost said prescription. A subscription service, and spend that kind of money year after year on software that may or may not meet their current needs. And I actually have a list here.
Well, the problem is if it doesn't meet your current needs, then you need to move on, don't you?
Yeah.
And that's the decision you've got to make.
And whether it's hardware or software, I mean, if you're a professional video editor, chances are you're not going to be running Final Cut Pro version 7, which was the last standalone, not the last standalone version, but the last version that came on CD or DVDs.
Yeah, we've got to be a bit careful because there will be some areas where older software is being used by a particular production company or someone who is producing something which requires that piece of software, and they are in a bit of a niche market, and they don't need to move up because everything that they need to do in their particular field is covered by an application, which they've got and is maybe an older one, but they don't need to get all of the flashbang whizzies on the newer software. They can do exactly what they need to do because their requirement only has that pertaining to their output. Now, if you want to, there are sometimes an improved workflow, an improved processing time is when you may want to, in those cases, look to go to the improved and update hardware and software. Because if your machine is sitting there doing something, churning something over, that's time wasted, of course.
Well, not only that, but if you have to take your output and give it to somebody else to take to the next step or the next level, and they're expecting it in some particular format that your older software isn't going to put out.
Yeah, but that's much rarer these days, isn't it?
But,
that used to be the case. Yeah, but it is. I think it's generally rarer. The problem is if you're expecting anything from newer software to go backward compatible, that is sometimes much more difficult.
Yeah.
So you can't then get it back into your process. If someone says, "Excuse me, we've been using you for years. You've always done this particular type of production, or you've done this for me. Somebody did a bit of work on a file for me and changed it, but they've disappeared now and they're rubbish anyway. But could you just tweak it? What's the format? Oh, it's this new format.
Yeah, it's CorelDRAW from 2008. What?
Well, that might be all right.
I actually had I'm not going to tell the story, but I had a circumstance where I had to take CAD files.
Is this you telling the story?
Just not the entire story. I had to
is this you not telling the story that you're going to tell?
Yeah, but
you're not going to tell.
It's extremely pared down version. I had to take CAD files and turn them into a JPEG, but only in a particular format because it was OS2, IBM's Warp OS2. Oh my God!
Excellent.
Talk about loops. All right, some of the applications that will never, ever, 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 Gaz, be updated to 64-bit.
Give it to me.
Okay, Adobe CS5 applications. Never going to happen.
Next one makes me sad.
I know, and so many people really, really like this app, or liked this application. Apple's Aperture, which was it was a photo manipulation app that
but
whatever reason.
I'll tell you the reason why people are sad, I think, on that disappearing is not only was it a photo manipulation app along, that could compete with the likes of Lightroom. What else I think it could give you was a little bit more photo management as well. And I think people
certainly
want to
better than iPhoto.
And that's the problem. I think that's where people miss Aperture, because they would just like a little bit more control over their library.
And as I recall, wasn't there like huge issues trying to update an Aperture library to photos? Didn't like people kind of?
I think there were some issues. Yeah, I think there were Yeah, so that's probably why they decided to cut it as well, because they didn't want to have to go through that pain.
More
because
than once.
Because the biggest problem with that sort of thing is photos in particular, everybody generally has, and they are so personal. If you get it wrong, you are the pariah of that person. They're just going to hate you for it. So yeah, that's probably why they went down a little bit of a safer route.
Okay, and we have a few others here from Apple. Apple's Cinema Tools, which I can't recall ever using.
Don't know about that.
Yeah. Apple's Final Cut version 7 or below, which was the last, I was saying earlier, that was the last version of Final Cut that you could get on physical media.
Mm-hmm.
It became Final Cut 10 or X, or however you want to say it after that. And now you can only do it through the Mac App Store. And this was one, now I had Final Cut Pro version 7, but before I got that, I had this next one, which gave me 95% of what I needed to use Final Cut for, which was Final Cut Express, which was just a great little video editor. I really enjoyed using Final Cut Express, and the only reason why I got Final Cut Pro was that they stopped updating Final Cut Express, which was too bad. I really liked it. Another one was Freeway Pro web designer software. It looks so dated now, but that was like really great software back in the day. And of course, a couple of the iApps, iPhoto and iWeb, also from Apple. Microsoft Office programs 2011 and down. Now, here's one that should bring up some memories. Gaz, Soundboard from Ambrosia Software.
Oh, Soundboard. Yeah, well.
Which, and I mean, don't get me wrong, I enjoy using Farrago, and Farrago in almost every way is better than Soundboard was. But the one thing that Soundboard had, and they've tried to kind of bring it into Farrago, but it doesn't work quite nearly as well, was cutting down on a sound file to be able to like really, really
refine
tighten,
it.
Yeah, to get just that last little bit of sound or noise out before moving on to the next. And Farrago does a decent job at it, but Soundboard was, in that particular way, was so much better. And of course, there's a ton of games that no longer work under Catalina because they never were and never will be updated to 64-bit, including all of the Steam games, which sucks because I have.
That is weird, isn't it? The Steam games not.
And the thing that's crazy, a lot of these games were actually made by Steam.
Yeah, well, I think we've spoken about that previously.
Yeah. Now, the advantages of running an older system or operating system is cheaper hardware and software, and it's going to be likely easier to upgrade to larger storage and RAM solutions. That's kind of the only advantages that you're going to have with older systems, unless you can think of anything else.
No, well, it's cost really as well, because with the older applications, you tended to buy it and then got updates until you needed to be charged for an update when you either decided whether you could deal with the program as it was in its current state or needed some of the extra features. But the problem there again is these days it's not just the features, it's about security, isn't it? So
yeah. Now, if you're doing all of this stuff on a computer that's never online, it doesn't really matter. If you're just taking files and outputting them and sending them to someone, then, if all you're doing is going through your mail system, who cares? But most programs these days don't work that way. Disadvantages, and we kind of touched on this, no regular security updates, depending on how far back you go. With Apple, you're typically good 3 to 4 years, would you say?
Yeah, easily. Yeah.
And at least 2 to 3 OS versions, you'll get security updates. Sometimes 3, but usually at least 2.
Yeah.
And of course, eventually the hardware dies with absolutely no way to fix it. And that you could say that about
everything.
Yeah, really, nearly anything. But when you have a computer like a Mac Pro, and you've seen those things, they're like huge, huge beasts. They last forever. If you don't abuse them, they just go and go and go. Like that one I gave to my son Peter, it's still going. You know, we're looking at over 10 years that computer's been around, and it's still chugging along, running all the stuff that he wants to run.
That's cool.
Yeah. Well, that's all I got, Gaz.
Okay, that's fine.
So
that's
take
cool.
us out.
So if anybody out there is saying, no, I'm still, and don't just, it's not a parlay to say, oh, I'm still running my 1998 Mac, whatever power PC, and it's still giving me what I need. That's fine. There are always going to be those instances. Congratulations and well done. And we'd still like to hear about those stories.
Yeah, we would.
But it's more about
if it's a 286 though, no, we really don't care.
But it's more about people who actually use it on a more professional basis. How far back do you feel that? Yeah, do you go?
I would love to hear some stories along those lines.
So yeah. Anyway, if you'd like to write in, do so. And we'll be right back, because Guy and Gaz will just make sure that you stand by for us to hear all of those points in the next section. Won't we, Guy?
The most awkward exit ever.
All right, we'll be right back.
And welcome everyone back to the MyMac.com podcast. Gaz, this is not one, not two, but point three of this show, 803. And, this has been...
Did you say that again? 0.3 of 803?
Yeah, 0.3 of 803.
I like that.
Yeah, so if you subtract 3 from 803, you got 800. So this is like an anniversary show all over again.
Absolutely. Where are all the bumpers?
Well, they're actually, I have them in little sets here in Farrago.
Funnily enough, we could do that for a long time, couldn't we?
What, just do bumper shows?
No. Just go, this is section 4.
And just keep dragging us back. Yeah, I'd agree with that.
Nod your head.
There you go.
Hit it. Gaz's tips.
Mostly.
Gaz's tips.
Mostly.
Gaz's tips.
It's time for
Gaz's tip. Right, Gaz's tip has got a backstory, but the backstory is going to come after the tip. All right.
Okay.
Want to sign out of the App Store? I tell you what, sometimes you'll find yourself going around in absolute circles like I did. Maybe it's because I'm stupid. I clicked on my icon, which says my name. I'm not going to tell you what it is, but you'd probably guess it, to be perfectly honest with you. And then I go into view information, and I'm trying to sign out. Why? I can't. Where is it? Tell you what, folks, it's ever so easy. Go into the App Store, go to the menu bar, click on Store, and you'll see it at the bottom that says Sign Out. Click on that, and you'll be signed out of the Mac App Store on your Mac, of course, on my Mac.
Yeah. Well, your Mac.
Now, I can hear people going, why does he want to sign out? Well,
that's how they sound.
Yeah, I listened.
Why do you want to do that?
Why do you want to do that? And the reason I wanted to sign out was because I have an App Store account which I use for my purchases of films and for applications, but I also have an iCloud account, and the iCloud account is where I share iDrive, or the iCloud Drive, like what do they call it?
Yeah, iCloud Drive.
With the family, and I also, so I share the storage, and I also through that process share music with family,
but not applications.
And basically, there was a recent update. I don't know whether you know about this, whether you have this in the US. It's currently until about the 6th of June in the UK. Apple are doing, if you update or if you add money to your account, you can get a 10% discount. Well, it's not a 10% discount. They add 10% onto the amount that you're giving.
Oh, so no. I wasn't aware of that.
If you pay £50, you get an extra £5 worth of value. So it's like a 10% discount, which obviously is useful if you're thinking of buying something. So whenever I see that, or whenever I see any good offers, I'll buy them and add them. Well, I did this on my phone for the Mac store on my phone, which was fine, and added the value to my account. But when I then signed out of my account on my phone, which I think I've done a tip many moons ago, signed into the iCloud account on my phone, for some reason it wasn't letting me use that code. It wasn't there. Well, there was not a code. It wasn't giving the option of giving the extra 10%. So I kind of scratched my head and thought, wonder if just like that I did, yeah. And I thought, I wonder if it's because they're seeing me twice trying to do this on the same device, and it does only allow you to do this once. During the periods that they allow it, you can only do it at one time. So don't think, I'll just spend $20 and get the extra 10% or $2, and then realize, I wish I'd done more. When you try and go back in that period, it won't let you do it more than once. So I thought, I wonder if it's because they're thinking they're seeing me twice on the device and won't let me. So I'll try and have a go on the Mac. Well, I couldn't find out to get to this same point on the Mac. And I was desperately trying to look for how to sign out of the App Store. Hence the tip. Now you're nodding your head, aren't you?
I am.
Hit it. That's the end of Gaz's tips. That's the end of Gaz's tips. That's the end of Gaz's tips.
Is that the end of the tip?
Will you let me finish?
Can I say, Guy?
Gaz, you are absolutely right.
There's generally a reason my tip exists.
Yes.
For me.
Yes.
For me.
There's always a story. See, and the thing about your stories is that you have like a starting point, a middle point, and an end point. My stories, I start at the end, work my way to the beginning, and then tell the middle before I sit there and go, what was I talking about?
Yeah, and finish in the middle. Yeah,
and finish in the middle. So,
right.
Well, we all know what Steve would say.
Golly, 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 golly.
Yeah. That's what he would say.
Do you think? No, Steve would go
zippy.
Well, actually, he would say it ironically.
He would, yeah.
He would, total ironic. Okay, I get you don't have a pick this week.
I don't. I'm afraid I don't.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine.
I'm not going to do a pick this week because I've got a headache.
The pick.
I literally have got a headache.
Really? Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
It wasn't anything I said.
I think it's the lights actually.
But you look so great right now. Eyeglasses right there in the middle of the Millennium Falcon. Wow.
Han?
I don't know. I'm making this up as I go.
Exactly.
Who's scruffy looking?
Yeah.
You are.
It's not Gaz.
Get back in that pilot seat, will you?
They're coming in too fast.
Just stop it.
Don't get cocky. Okay. All right.
Yeah. Anybody watching the video will see what we're talking about.
Yeah.
And you'll see that I'm turning my head, looking round, shouting at someone in the background.
Yeah, because he's literally on the Millennium
Falcon.
Falcon.
Behind me. It's just behind me. Yeah.
It's amazing. Yeah. Okay. Well, I do have a pick-ish thing. Pickish thing.
Ah, right. Yeah. Was this the thing that you
I was talking to you and Carl about part of it. It's part of it.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I didn't appreciate it quite as much as Carl, did I?
No, probably not. And it's a service, a free service called If This Then That, or IFTTT.com. And what this is you pick some kind of service or application or website or process, and then you have it do something else. So it's if this, then that. And what I use it for is when I upload new videos to YouTube through my channel, Guy Searle. You can like, share, subscribe. If you want to see that again, like, share, subscribe. Then it will automatically create a post in WordPress. So it automates that process. So I don't have to sit there and go, okay, well, I've got the stuff loaded into WordPress and into YouTube, and now I'll take those links and all the information and I'll make new posts. It's a pain in the neck. So if this then that not only takes care of it for YouTube videos, but it also takes care of it for Guy's Daily Drive audio and the Mac to the Future livecast audio and all of these things that I do either on YouTube or in my my podcast host, podbean.com, and it automatically creates WordPress posts at vertshark.com, which, by the way, I think, did we talk about that last week, that I had redone it? And so it's not quite as eye-bleeding as it used to be?
No, you didn't. No, you didn't mention that last week.
Oh, it was so awful. I went to look at it because it had been so long since I had updated it.
Yep.
And I went to look at it and was like, oh, okay, I remember why I haven't been updating it, because it was fucking ugly. It was horrible looking. So I redid the site, and instead of having like all that stuff all over the place, and it was almost all in red, which, that make your eyes bleed, I changed it to a single column, and stuff just comes in and you can read it and just move on. So it's a much simpler design, and with IFTTT, I have stuff that's automatically being created. All I have to do is go in and put in a graphic, and then hit publish, and it's done.
That's cool.
Yeah. Now the other one is, I have another thing that I use for social media, but it's broken right now. And it's not just for me, but it seems to be broken for everyone. So I'm not going to give them props.
Say, you can't really give kudos to that, can you?
Not until I find out whether or not they're going to fix it. And if they don't fix it, I'm going to be really, really unhappy, because when it was working, it was wonderful. I really liked it.
Yeah, it's a little bit like me and waiting for iStop-Motion to be improved for Catalina, because they keep giving snippets and hints that it is going to be done, and they even give us a view of what it's going to look like. And I'm thinking, just get on with it.
Pull the trigger, for God's sake.
Yeah, for heaven's sake. Just, but it gives you a massive warning that this version of iStop-Motion will not work with macOS 10.15 Catalina. Read more. That's great. Read more. Oh, look what it's going to look like when we've finally done it. Well, get on with it, will you? Boinks. Come on. My eyes are bleeding. I can't, Anyway. Yeah.
So, but that's my pick. We don't have any. Well, we do have some audio feedback besides the one that we got from Marcus.
Oh, besides the one from Marcus.
Yeah,
right?
it was. Oh, what's his name? It was someone from North Carolina.
I wonder who it could be.
Oh, there's so many people that call the show from North Carolina.
Is it John?
Could be. Well, I'll just play it.
John.
One of them spells favorite correctly. The other uses a U. Put the G in on the MyMac program.
A little bit US-centric with that bumper. Thank you, Greg. Yeah, wasn't it great that Greg called in?
Thank you, Grug.
Greg. Thanks, Greg. If you would
Don't call again.
No, you call anytime you want.
No, don't.
A personal invitation
Until
from
you know
Guy.
how to spell properly, don't you bother.
You keep spelling that North Carolina way. I like it. That's how the rest of the world should be. If you'd like to help support me and my broken microphones that aren't really broken, that I just forgot to turn on, you can do that by going to... Is that your broken one?
Yeah, I'm sad face because my new one still hasn't arrived yet. I haven't had an update. It's not going to arrive till June.
Can you see it?
Yeah, I can see it.
And there's the on and off switch. I don't know if you can see where I'm pointing.
Yes, I can. Yeah.
So
no one else can, but I can.
If I go like this,
click.
It works. It doesn't work. Okay. So yeah. So that was fun. Patreon.com/MacParrot, Coffee, ko-fi.com/MacParrot, PayPal, paypal.me/MacParrot. Now, Gaz, if people wanted to get a hold of you and you,
if people want to get a hold of me,
yes,
i.e. you, as you said, they'd need to spell it with a U.
MEU?
However.
Okay.
Anyway.
How would they do it?
Send an email to gaz@mymac.com without a U. Or on the Twitters, twitter.com/Gazmaz, G-A-Z.
Of course.
M-A-Z. Without a U. Or twitter.com/Guy and Gaz, G-U-Y. That's a U. A-N-D.
D. No U.
No, there is a U.
Well,
in
not
the
an
Guy.
A and D.
Not in A and D. No, but I've done the U
okay.
in the G-U-Y, right? Shall I start that again? G-U-Y-A-N-D-G-A-Z. You can also send an email to feedback@mymac.com, F-W-E-D-B-A-C-K.
TK,
Now, let's see.
Careful.
He's the guy.
Is he?
He is.
Pay no attention to that guy behind the curtain.
They never do.
No, they never do. No. So,
the guy was paid his 75 grand.
Wow. God.
Do we know it was a guy?
We do.
The guy was paid his 75 grand.
Do we know it was a guy?
The guy was paid his 75 grand.
Do we know it was a guy?
The guy was paid his 75
Do
grand.
we know it was a guy? I like to go with guy.
Okay, real quick. That's Bart Bouchatz from the Let's Talk podcasts and Allison Sheridan from podfeet.com. Just wanted to make sure if we're gonna use their audio snippets, we got to give them props.
Yeah, they're gonna take us out.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Guy says.
Guy says, and no one knows who that is except anybody in the UK, right? So we won't get taken out for that.
Guy says.
Because.
Guy's the one.
Yes. And.
You remember Guy? Guy.
Guy? He's the guy.
Guy.
Guy? He's the guy.
Guy.
Guy?
You remember Guy? An email from Guy.
How would they do it?
They would work their way through all of that, and they would send that. They'd open up an email application that hopefully was 64-bit, and it would be guy@mymac.com. You can also reach me on the Twitters. I am Mac Parrot, and I am also, I'm not as afraid now because we can't play those super long snippets anymore. Vert Shark. Yeah, see, that's about as far as we can go. That's as far as we can go with that. Or Universal Studios, they get mad. Okay, we have a Skype number that Marcus and hello? Marcus and did you hear that? Marcus and Greg know the number. It's 1 or +1 outside of the United States. Area code 703-436-9501. That number again, Gaz, is 1 or +1 outside of the United States. 703-436-9501. Or take that 1 and that +1, roll it into a ball, and toss it into the trash. Because if you just use the Skype application, then it's just 703-436-9501. Yeah. And Gaz, I would like to say not only to you, actually I probably owe you an apology, but to everyone else that's out there, I'm sorry. No, that we're so very, very grateful that you take the time to download and listen to the MyMac.com podcast. And Gaz, I think that we're good enough.
I think you stink.
I do stink. And I think that we are smart enough. I still stink. Yeah. Except when it comes to on-off switches. But other than that, we're really good. And that doggone it, woof. Woof, 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 woof.
Oh.
Arr, people like us.
Non importer o duro. Key trabelli. Para key as Cosas, Sexan, Faciles,
Good old Ian.
and Cosas, and Nanga. C. Podden, Enro, Scar. I think everybody could be able to understand that.
Sure.
In there, especially anybody who is a native Galatian.
Not related to Klingon at all.
Not at all. End.
So you can all go home and there's nothing to worry about. Get out of here now. Go on. Go on home and go home.